Let us pray. Father, we gather here tonight to discuss and to look at the business of this community and the needs and the wants and the wishes and the well-being of its citizens. Ask your blessings upon this governing body as they perform their work. We would lift to you, especially this time of the year, those graduating seniors and their families. They have come to the end of one part of the journey of life and begin anew. We know that at this time of celebration also sometimes comes tragedy, and we pray for protection and for safety for all of our citizens, especially those who are graduating this time of the year. Bless them and keep them safe and their families. Now, Lord, again, direct the work of this body to the betterment of this community and to your kingdom. In Christ's name I pray. Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Congratulations, Mr. Commissioner, that I'm out of here.
Okay, we have a roll call.
Alderman French. Alderman Swan. Here. Alderman Bryant. Alderman Kilgore. Here. Alderman Saint. Here. Alderman Polley.
Yeah.
Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes for May 5th?
My motion.
Second. Any correction? If not, call the roll.
Alderman French. Alderman Swan. Alderman Bryant. Alderman Kilgore. Alderman Saint. Alderman Polley.
Okay. Correspondence?
Yes, we have two cards. We have a thank you card from William Payne, and he just wanted to thank the city for the watch that he got when he retired. And then we received a thank you card from C.A. Hicks on River Street. It says, Brian, I wanted to bring attention to 3 of your employees, Bobby Colsey, Chris Greer, and Oscar Daniels of the Water and Sewer Department. They were so courteous, efficient, and knowledgeable about replacing the pipe in front of my house. I appreciate their work.
Comment from me. I just want to thank the police department, Manchester Fire Department, and those who volunteered in the help and assistance of Westwood Elementary safe around the school. That was good, and I appreciate everybody going over there and working. Also, one of our firemen got hurt Thursday, got his leg broke. Bradley Crosby. He had to have pins and things put in it, so everybody send him a card and wish him well. Any comment from citizens? Okay, we'll get into committees. Safety committee.
Didn't have a quorum at the last meeting. When is our next meeting? First Wednesday in June 3rd.
Okay, finance.
Finance, we did meet last month, so we'll meet again, joint meeting June 3rd.
Arts commission.
Other than more.
Street.
We brought up, talked about some lights out in the basement, and we need to bring it up now.
Okay. Okay, have a second.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Call the roll.
Alderman French. Alderman Swan. No. Alderman Braun. Alderman Kilgore. Alderman Sane. Alderman Polly.
Okay. Water and sewer? Recreation?
We have our meeting Thursday at noon, and also on Thursday, the outside pool is open, so that's exciting news. And a great news from the whole rec department to the police and the fire departments for helping in Park Palooza. Fire department, I was told that the children were just very thankful for you guys opening up the fire hydrant, and they had a great time. So thanks to you guys and the police department for that.
Historical zoning?
We have some new ones.
We have one resignation that we approved on our last meeting, and then have one approval that we're hoping that you will approve. It's a former member that actually started the historical zoning from the very beginning, and she's well recommended and very happy to see her come back.
Most people probably know Patricia Burgess.
You will make a motion?
I will. I'll make a motion that we accept her onto the historical zone. Again, or re-accept her, I guess is what.
Okay. Okay, is there any discussion? Call the roll.
Alderman French. Alderman Swan. Alderman Braun. Alderman Kilgore. Alderman Sane. Alderman Polly.
Okay, tourism?
We should have our budget ready for after the next meeting. We're intending to vote on that the last meeting of the month.
Okay. Plan commission?
Last night at Plan Commission, we voted to subdivide the lot on Hills Chapel Road for that one.
Okay. All right, we'll get the resolution and ordinance.
First thing is not listed, but it is part of your packet. There's the benefits broker consultant services agreement. That can be adopted by voice vote, or I can reduce it to writing. He probably has to have that in order to get your demographic data. Probably the first thing would be a motion to approve the benefit broker consulting services agreement that's at the beginning of your packet for the insurance broker. Then I can reduce it, at the board's pleasure, I can reduce it to writing if he thinks that'll help, or he can just stand by voice vote. Whatever the board's pleasure is.
I'll make the motion that we accept Tim Helton supported group as our new broker
And execute that contract.
and execute that contract.
We have a second. Is there any discussion? Call the roll.
Alderman French. Alderman Swan. Alderman Braun. Alderman Kilgore. Alderman Sane. Alderman Polly.
The only discussion I would have is that they'll be responsible for really educating our people because it's a different model. And everybody needs to be educated about how it works because it's going to look bad on the front end, but it's not really as bad as it looks.
Next thing on the agenda is an ordinance amending Title 14, Chapter 6, Section 1 to the Manchester Municipal Code, the same being the zoning ordinance of the city of Manchester, Tennessee, to amend that ordinance and zoning map to provide that real estate owned by Korabai Patel and wife Laxmi Patel be rezoned as R1 residential from C to commercial, pass first reading May 5th.
Do I hear a motion? Second.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Call the roll.
Alderman French. Alderman Swan. Alderman Braun. Alderman Kilgore. Alderman Sane. Alderman Polly.
Have second reading of an ordinance authorizing contract with the state of Tennessee for reimbursement of the cost of maintenance of state routes which pass over city streets for fiscal year 2015-16 in an amount not to exceed $78,004. Pass first reading May 5th.
Do I hear a motion? Make a motion. Second.
I'll second.
Discussion? Call the roll.
Alderman French. Alderman Swan. Alderman Braun. Alderman Kilgore. Alderman Sane. Alderman Polly.
We have third reading of ordinance to amend Municipal Code 9205 relative to restrictions on peddlers, street markers, and solicitors. Passed first reading April 21 and second reading May 5th, presented for third.
I hear a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Whereas Municipal Code 9205 regulates the activities of peddlers, street markets, and solicitors, whereas there's been a proliferation of these activities during certain periods and during their times traffic is disrupting, creating danger for both the motoring public as well as all the citizens of Manchester, whereas additional restrictions are necessary to protect the public. Now therefore be ordained by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of the City of Manchester, since it Manchester Municipal Code 9205 1 through 5 be amended to read as follows. 9205 restrictions on peddlers, street markets, and solicitors. No peddler, street marker, solicitor, solicitor for charitable purposes, or solicitor for subscription shall, one, be permitted to set up and operate a booth or stand only within 25 feet of any street, sidewalk, breakdown lane, public right of way, or any other public area within the city. 2, stand, sit in, or within 25 feet of the entrance to any dwelling or place of business or in any other place which may disrupt or impede pedestrian or vehicular traffic. 3, offer to sell goods or services or solicit in or within 25 feet of any vehicle, traffic lanes, breakdown lanes, or public rights of way, or operate a roadblock of any kind. 4, call attention to his business or merchandise before his solicitation efforts by crying out, by blowing a horn, by ringing a bell, or creating other noise, or holding or wearing any sign that does not display the name in which the permit required by this section is issued, when the permit number and characters at least 1 inch in height, except that the street marker shall be allowed to cry out to call attention to his business and merchandise during recognized parade or festival days of the city. 5, enter upon any premises or attempt to enter on premises where a sign or placard bearing the notice peddlers or listers prohibited or similar language carrying the same meaning is located. Be further ordained by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of the City of Manchester, since the source will take it on after its publication and passing the code of the City of Manchester, Tennessee, requiring it. That's first April 21, second May 5th.
Okay, is there any discussion? If not, call the roll.
Alderman French. Alderman Swan. Alderman Ryan. Alderman Kilgore. Alderman Sain. Alderman Polly.
Third reading ordinance to revise Chapter 9, Section 4 of Manchester Municipal Code relative to taxi cabs. That's first reading April 21 and second May 5th.
Second.
Whereas Chapter 9, Section 4 of Manchester Municipal Code regulates taxi cabs, whereas it appears to be enacted in 1972 with little change since, whereas it appears that some matters such as fees were not addressed in the original enactment, whereas the charter of the City of Manchester requires all action exacting fees be taken by ordinance, whereas it appears that other amendments to Title 9, Chapter 4 are necessary or beneficial to the citizens of Manchester, now therefore be ordained by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of the City of Manchester, said Chapter 9, Section 4 of the Manchester Municipal Code be amended to read Chapter Code Section 9401 be amended to add taxi cab for the purpose of this chapter shall mean any private passenger vehicle for hire, including to a limousine, sedan, or taxi cab as defined by TCA 7511007. An annual franchise fee of $150 for operators of 1 to 5 taxi cabs, $200 for operators of 6 to 10 taxi cabs, $250 for operators of 11 to 20 taxi cabs, and $300 for operators of more than 20 taxi cabs shall be due upon the approval of the franchise or additional franchise. No franchise fee shall be due for franchises for existing taxi cabs until the first anniversary of the franchise. Code Section 942 be amended to read 942 requires this application hearing. No person shall be eligible for a taxi cab franchise if he has been convicted of a felony, any theft or assault with offense within the last 10 years. Applications for taxi cab franchises shall be made under oath and in writing to the chief of police. The application shall state the name and address of the applicant, the name and address of the proposed place of business, the number of cabs the applicant desires to operate, the makes and models of said cabs, and such other pertinent information as the chief of police may require within 10 days after receiving an application. The chief of police shall make a thorough investigation of the applicant, determine if there is a public need for additional taxi cab service, present the application to the governing body, and make a recommendation to either grant or refuse from the franchise to the applicant. The governing body shall thereupon hold a public hearing where witnesses for and against the granting of the franchise shall be heard in deciding whether or not to grant the franchise. The governing body shall consider the public need for additional service to increase traffic congestion, parking space requirements, and whether or not the safe use of the streets by the public, both vehicular and pedestrian, will be preserved by the granting of such additional taxi cab franchise. Those persons already operating taxi cabs when this code is adopted shall not be required to make applications under this section, but shall be required to comply with all legal provisions thereof. Prior to the hearing on the application, the chief of police shall conduct a TBI or other criminal background search as he deems prudent, the cost of which shall be paid by the applicant in addition to the franchise fee. Code Section 9403 shall be amended that section be filed with the finance director. The safety committee shall approve an appropriate form for completion by franchisees in documenting compliance with this section. Code Section 9407 shall be amended that an inspection fee of $25 per taxi cab shall be collected for each semi-annual inspection. Code Section 9408 be amended to substitute the required Tennessee driver's license for operation of taxi cab for state special chauffeur's license and substitute city for chief of police. Code section 949, we need to read 949 qualifications for taxi cab driver's permit. No person shall be issued a taxi cab driver's permit unless he complies with the following to the satisfaction of the chief of police. Makes written application to the chief of police on a form of proof of the safety committee. Is 18 years of age and holds the appropriate Tennessee driver's license to be permitted to operate a taxi cab under examination by a physician is found to be of sound physique with good eyesight and hearing and not subject to epilepsy, vertigo, heart trouble, or any other infirmity of body or mind which might render him unfit for the safe operation of a public vehicle. 4, is clean in dress and person, not addicted to the use of intoxicating liquor or drugs. 5, is not being convicted of a felony, driving under the influence of intoxicant or drug, any theft or assault of offense or traffic offenses. Is familiar with the state and local traffic laws. The chief of police should conduct TPI background and other appropriate background checks of each applicant prior to issuing the permit required by this section. The cost of such background check shall be advanced by the applicant. Section 9410 be amended to leave the word "or" between the words "violation" and "violation," and to substitute therefore the following phrase: failure to continue to meet the requirements of 9409 or any, close quote. The further language of the board may also order shall take effect on after publication and passage of the bill over the city manager Chelsea requiring. Passed first April 21, second May 5th.
Let me ask to you guys in your program, the chief, what's been the history on taxi cabs in this town? It seems like I saw them a long time ago.
Estelle's cab was the last one.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah, this ain't one.
It's been well.
Used to be a cab set in front of Lawson's, had a phone on the outside on the pole with it. It's cab, not entry.
I think they were monitored very well. Yeah, I've got to say
Yeah.
Historical zoning will left it on me.
Thank you, I just was curious. I grew up here, so.
Is there any more discussion?
Alderman French. Alderman Swan. Alderman Bryant. Alderman Kilgore. Alderman St. Alderman Polly.
Next thing in your package is the ordinance about the grant contract. Do you want to defer that till we hear from the industrial board still? It's under old business. Board's pleasure on that. And on your desk were 3 add-on ordinances. The first one there is ordinance to adopt a stormwater ordinance and stormwater management enforcement response plan. It references 2 attachments. Those attachments are nearly 50 pages long combined. I have a copy with Ms. Ballard for those. I'll be happy to explain them. This is pretty much mandated by the state of Tennessee, and it has to do with runoff primarily at construction sites and subdivision developments. It's pretty draconian in my opinion, but not anything I typically do about it.
Second.
Second.
Is there discussion? Call the roll.
Alderman French. Alderman Swan. Alderman Bryant. Alderman Kilgore. Alderman St. Alderman Polly.
Second one is an ordinance to amend Manchester Code Section 12101 relative to building codes adopted by reference. That just updates the codes that we adopted, I think, primarily from the 2006 to the 2009. It may make other slight technical corrections as requested by Mr. Guess, and he can explain those in great detail, but I cannot.
Make a motion.
Second.
I'll second.
Is there discussion? Call the roll.
Alderman French. Alderman Swan. Alderman Bryant. Alderman Kilgore. Alderman St. Alderman Polly.
And the last one is an ordinance to adopt inspection requirements and fee schedule for plumbing and mechanical permits. Also proposed by the codes department. They'll pay the gas for what they're already doing, is what I understand.
Is there discussion?
I guess I just wanted to ask, where did you get like the fee schedule? Is it comparable to other places? Or?
Yes, it is. We checked with all surrounding middle Tennessee towns, and we were very in line with it. It's just basically, it's something the state's making us do. We're having to provide the inspection, and we've already got permits, we just don't issue them yet because we got to get this ordinance through. So we're having to hand do the plumbing and mechanical, and we're doing it. This is to give us a little fee like all other towns do.
I think we both just was thinking that what you're charging for a fee isn't enough to cover the paper costs and the stamps for you.
Well, you know, it would be like on commercial buildings and industrial buildings and stuff like that, but like on a household, no, we've got to provide them anyway.
Okay, any more discussion? Call roll.
Alderman French. Alderman Swan. Alderman Bryant. Alderman Kibble. Alderman Sane. Alderman Polly.
Okay, all right, we'll get into new business.
I, George Chambers,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
support the Constitution
of the United States of America,
of the United States of America,
and the state of Tennessee,
and the state of Tennessee.
and I will discharge the duties of fire chief
And I will discharge the duties as fire chief
for the city of Manchester, Tennessee,
for the city of Manchester, Tennessee,
faithfully,
faithfully,
honestly,
honestly,
and impartially,
and impartially,
to the best of my skills and ability.
to the best of my skills and ability. Thanks, sir.
That'll take care of it.
Turn to the right.
Sign it. I'll get you to see. Okay, we got an appointment, on the Housing Authority, and I think they had a meeting and they asked us to appoint Mr. Clover at the radio station. Somebody want to make it as a motion?
I'll make it.
I'll second.
Okay, is there any discussion? Call roll.
Alderman French. Alderman Swan. Alderman Bryant. Alderman Kilgore. Alderman Sane. Alderman Polly.
Right. Steve?
Following the city school board meeting last night, I'm going to be real careful with my words. It came back that some members of the city board were offended that we even brought this back up about doing the right and smart thing and doing away with lawsuits. Personally, I'm going that I would like to right over here on handshake. So I would like to ask for Gerald, if he could, to enter a resolution, and other members can speak on this, but I may not feel like I do. Asking them one final time to make this lawsuit go away. And leave it to where there's no guessing where we stand on that. That is one of the things that was agreed to. We were all here when it was agreed to. I don't know what the problem is. I've looked at it from every viewpoint I can. And if they don't do this, I'm sure the county's gonna refile against us. We don't have the money to do that. And, you know what, if that ever comes up, we're going to do something. I think everybody knows what that is. Like I said, I'm choosing my words very carefully right now. Am I the only one feels this way, or is it a?
You make that formal.
I'd like a resolution sent to them that this board can agree to, that lets them know that, we have no wiggle room on this.
I said,
Okay.
Essentially, a resolution again requesting the city school board dismiss with prejudice its sales tax losses against Norfolk County.
yeah,
Any more?
bold. All caps, yeah, that part.
Do we have any idea why they're not?
There's no good idea on this earth, why they're not.
I think that they honestly feel like they're being bullied, and we have them kind of by their seat of their pants, and, I mean, that's
Well, they're
poor
recently-
words in my part, but, I mean, I was there last night, and I did hear, Mr. Lewis in his statement. I wish that we, they would see it in a way that it's hurting all taxpayers. I thought that they felt a little bad that they were not invited to the meeting. That was the meeting that you attended with Mayor Norman and Mayor Cordell, along with the county.
That was,
And,
Well, that was
I mean, I'm
Mayor
just
Cordell.
telling you, it was just
Oh,
mentioned.
I know.
And
Susan Parsley was there,
Susan
wasn't
Parsley.
she was
there.
there, and I don't feel like it was a very strong presentation last night to the entire board.
that's what this resolution needs to be, is a very
I
strong
think you're wasting
presentation.
any time, because they're not going to budge.
Well, they just need to, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna budge either. Everybody else may back down, but, I mean, this is something that was promised to us with a handshake, and,
I understand the sentiment that they were expressing last night, but what we offered was to work together. Up to that point, it looked like there was going to be a resolution on the table. That resolution never came to fruition, because in that very meeting, we agreed to work through our differences. And the biggest difference, first difference, I know I brought up, and several of you brought up as well, with the lawsuits. So if they're not willing to take the first step, I'm not jumping in the swimming pool. It's just how it is. They have to be able to work with us. And to this point, and I don't want to hear the budget cuts, because they were already working on those before that first meeting ever happened. The biggest part of the first meeting was, hey, you're suing your own citizens. That's got to stop. Everybody agreed. And now we're into a technical standoff about terminology. Put it in there the way we intended it to be versus some kind of legal back road for you to come back later with. If they don't want to do that, then I'm absolutely not willing to work out our differences. That's my stance on it. So they can do that, or we can just completely eliminate negotiations as far as I'm concerned. Because that was the first thing I asked for. And it was agreed upon that night, it was promised that, okay, we'll adopt these. And so that's my stance on it. If we're not
know why it has changed.
I think it's just a technical situation where they can bring this, they're still promising, we're not gonna bring the lawsuit back up as a current board. But all this is doing is leaving the door open for another board in 2 years to re-enter the lawsuit. And in 2 years, we're gonna be a worse financial crossroads as a community. I'm not talking about it as a city, but as the whole entire community right now. So that would be devastating to have that come back up. And right now, it's just we don't know. So eliminate, if you're not intending to do it ever, so why leave that terminology in there? That doesn't make any sense to me.
I wasn't at the meeting, so I just read what was in the paper. You know, how that goes. But what I understood Mike Lewis to say was that he didn't want to drop it with prejudice because they were owed that money. And that sounds totally different than.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
Am I wrong, Cheryl? Weren't you?
He said
it's
that
progressing towards that direction.
they're owed money, the Tullahoma's owed money from the county and from, Manchester City, and everybody's owed money from one or the other, and nobody has the money to pay, is basically what it said. I do feel like that because of the illness with Dr. Brewer, because that's how he initially, and so I feel like it was just a failed attempt on maybe the attorney that came into play at that time to make sure that the wording was right, because maybe Dr. Brewer wasn't there. It was unusual circumstances because of his illness and where we're at. And they did say last night that that's how, well, Susan personally said that's how it was initially. And, the wording just got changed somehow, and
So why did they vote on it last night?
they didn't vote.
Why did they not?
They did not even get a motion last night for it. Susan brought it up in hopes to get a motion, but they didn't even get a motion. What would the legal fees, if they did agree to do it, what would that cost?
Get it dismissed.
To just change that wording?
Don't word processor.
Well, everybody's laughing, but the amount of 30,000 was thrown out. Was it 30,000 that they threw out? Yeah. And
No, that's what they'll pay.
No, that was the amount that was thrown out in legal fees to get it changed. So I don't know if someone has said something to them and they think it's going to cost them this astronomical legal fees.
I'm signing up for that job. The orders have already been drawn. They will circulate in the courts in February. I think the order dismissing with prejudice has already been prepared. I think I've got a copy of it down in the backseat of my car.
Okay, so it's,
Postage to mail it amongst everybody and get them to sign it.
so you have a copy of that.
I think I do, yes.
And if you have a copy of that and this resolution passes tonight and you send that to them, could you also send them that copy and say we are enclosing a copy? And then what, they just have to file it through the court?
Their lawyer has to sign it and mail it to the court.
And that's going to be a fee of a lawyer's signature and a recording fee. Postage and a recording.
There's no recording fee, this
No
court clerk does it. And there will be a little bit of stuff to get the lawsuit filed against the city. There is a lawsuit filed against the city for $137,000 worth of liquor tax. It's been appealed to the Court of Appeals. There'll be a little maneuvering to get that back down, to get it dismissed. I understand that the lawyers that took that on behalf of the Coffee County Board of Education on a contingent fee basis, and they will be more than happy to prepare that probably within hours after they hear that the other's been done, because their contingent fees contingent upon that, and they'll probably prepare it free. I think it's been done too, because I think all of this stuff was done, proposed orders were sent out, I think 4th February. I think I forwarded all this to you sometime back, so I'm shooting from memory if anybody's got it with them, but I think I've got it down in the car. And so, does anybody have any corrections? I know Mr. Husky made a correction, Mr. Birch made a slight correction, I made a slight correction, didn't hear from Mr. Miller. It rocked on and on and on and on for over a month, and evidently Mr. Husky started pressing Mr. Miller, and that's when this new issue came up. So I think I could go take a piece of paper out of my car and run a Xerox copy of it right now. I can't guarantee it. It's on my email, I know, but I printed out a copy. But I think I forwarded it to you, a copy of the order with things. So
Correct me if I'm
the
wrong.
Control 4, whatever it does, print
We
it out.
have decided to drop it, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they went to their lawyer and it was different.
And now, and see,
That's why I understood.
and now I'm at a point where I feel like it's not, I feel like I'm absolutely being lied to about it, because just 2 weeks ago, it was the first time it came up, it was a mistake, it was an oversight, and then now, it's more to, well, we're owed that money still, so we're back to square one on it. And the whole principal argument is, who's we? Who are you to be owed that money?
Like the problem from one side.
It's 10,000 residents that pursue ourselves. It doesn't make sense.
If they do continue and win any money, they'll never spend it. I know we have that power, we can tell the party, and we'll never approve of that.
I actually had a significant addition to the resolution. I think we need to have a deadline next.
Do we need to vote on the
Yeah,
resolution?
let's talk, yeah, we do, let's talk about the,
And can I say one more thing? There is a change of council to the school board also. Because we have a new attorney that's representing the school board, and has that contract been signed? Anybody know? They may be without an attorney at the time. So when you put that deadline, keep that into account too.
I don't care about that. There's already been a resolution drawn up. I don't. Deadline.
They would probably go back to the original, put Miller on this one and not.
I don't know. I just, when you're dropping a deadline, I want you guys to understand that with legal representation.
I don't care about that.
I would like to, I want to ask a question, like seriously. Just,
what's the deadline you want?
By the end of the year.
okay, but I'm just curious about the future of our city, because I've heard y'all say a lot. I believe you that we're in trouble. And then I also know that one solution is to dissolve the school system. And I would assume that you would do that by referendum. I know there are other ways you could go about that, but if you did that by referendum, what are you going to do? I'm just thinking if I were you, if you put it on referendum and it doesn't turn out like you think, and the referendum is defeated, and then you still have us, evidently no one wants us, but then you still are stuck with us, and you still have these lawsuits, and then what are you going to do?
Well, I guess your question is based a lot on speculation.
Well, a lot of
And
this
the only
is
thing, the
speculation.
only thing that I have committed to doing is working on actual actions. And we have, as a board, we have made accommodation after accommodation after accommodation. We have followed through with everything that we said we would do in that first meeting. We've even extended. We talked about the MCAS study. We pushed that date back for convenience purposes. And now, the only thing, the first thing I asked them to do, they not only refused to do it, they lied to me about why they're not doing it. And so my point is, I understand your frustrations. I can't answer those questions because I can get the first step accomplished in
Right.
actually negotiating the
Well,
factual part of it.
right, and
Until they're willing to do that, what are we supposed to do?
Well, that's what I'm asking you, what are you going to do? Because what if, look, here, we're all caught in the crossfire. I mean, we really are. We have no control over you. We have no control over the school board. And you know, I'm as tired of looking at y'all as you are of looking at me, I can guarantee you. I have no doubt, you know, but it is frustrating. You're frustrated, we're frustrated, they're frustrated. But I hear, and it's all speculation. It's speculation on everyone's part. And I'm just asking, like, I know how we got here because I've been at all of these meetings. I understand your frustration. I see their point of view. But the larger question becomes, to move this city forward, what happens if it goes to referendum? And what happens if we still have an Manchester school system and then we still have these lawsuits? Like, what really is the...
Well,
Then you go bankrupt.
That
Or
very
your
amount.
taxes get increased to $10.
the best thing to do y'all speak up like this at the city?
Are we the only problem in the city?
No.
There are lots of problems in the city.
Well, let's get them fixed. I mean, let's
But
fix all of them.
there has to be,
We are.
Do you
we
realize?
have to start taking some
I
steps.
mean, we are making significant cuts. And last year, we sat down at one meeting and cut out $300,000 within an hour, just literally line by line by line. And we're doing that. So those steps are taking place. but this is a domino. And so we have made significant improvements to our budgeting process in the last 2 years. This is the one thing that all we're asking for them to do is work with us, do what you said you were going to do. That's all I'm asking them to do. We've done what we said we were going to do. And I am frustrated, I understand the deadline aspect of it, but my deadline, I'm not looking at that from May 19th until the end of June. We've been talking about this for 6 months with them.
We know.
So that's where the
Wait a minute.
deadline's from. And I want to get that first step over with so we can actually negotiate terms with the board.
Looks like you want to say something.
I mean, I just feel like if y'all could give us a little commitment, then our board would be, but y'all are demanding all this stuff from us.
We still know
With
it's.
We
no assurance.
commanded three things. Get out of their largest building,
Check,
got to pay the superintendent,
check.
do away with lawsuits for good.
Okay, and what are y'all gonna do on y'all's part?
We've already said we will not bring it to referendum until three things
You
happen.
promise you will not bring it to
This
referendum?
board I won't.
Okay, this board won't, but what about the next board?
We
Will you
can't-
sign
That's
papers?
what our school board is saying
We've
about.
already talked about that, and there is absolutely no constitutional way we can do it. Our hands are tied.
Then why are you making us do it then? I mean, you're asking us to do something that you
No, we're
can't
talking
do.
about a specific lawsuit. A referendum is a completely different thing. A legislative referendum is creating policy for the community.
We're talking about changing one word and they're being absolutely childish.
And we agree that that's what it looks like. I mean,
You need to have the crowd that you had here when I was ridiculed, everybody up here was ridiculed. You need to do that to them.
So can we get a resolution from you guys that you
We're
will not put
sending-
it on?
That's what we're sending to them. Do this or else.
Okay.
It don't work the other way. If they don't do it, yeah, we're gonna move forward on something. If they do it, that's good. We're done. We'll- Yeah.
You'll move on.
I can
Somebody
take that to
move on, start picking on somebody else.
I can keep picking.
We're not picking on anybody.
Well, that's exactly what it feels like.
No,
It
ma'am.
feels like
There may come a time when the city doesn't have a choice, but to let the taxpayers decide if we want to go ahead with the school system or not. So I don't think any of us need to be making any promises, one way or another. We don't know what's going to happen 2 years down the road or a year, just like you're saying.
Yeah, but you're asking us to do that though.
I'm not asking you to do anything. I think it's the taxpayer, I think the taxpayers should get a say in it. Period.
But, I mean, they should vote on this.
Let me read what I've got pinned out here and see if it comports with what y'all think. A resolution to again request the Manchester City School Board dismiss with prejudice sales tax lawsuit against Coffee County. Whereas the Manchester City School Board has reinstituted its lawsuit against Coffee County for sales tax revenue claimed to be due for past years back to approximately 1980. And whereas that revenue would not benefit the children in the city schools during the years for which it was due. Be it therefore resolved that the Board of Mayor and Aldermen renews and emphatically requests that the Manchester City School Board dismiss its sales tax lawsuit against Coffee County with prejudice by June 30, 2015. Anything else? I'm not wedded to that, I'm just writing this. Except anything else that I should include or delete?
Yeah, I'm just gonna add this last thing, that I can't get past this part of it. I don't understand where the pushback is on this. I'm struggling, because let's do a more hypothetical outlay here. Let's hypothetically say that they do pursue these lawsuits, and let's hypothetically say that they win these lawsuits, and the county wins their lawsuit against us. Where are we at then? Forget there ever being a resolution or not being a resolution to dissolve the schools. There may be a resolution to dissolve the city if we keep suing ourselves. And that's where I'm talking. If these lawsuits happen, the inevitable aspect of that is that we are going to have to either raise taxes or we're going to have to dissolve the schools. That's the only two ways we could even pay those lawsuits.
Not only is that the
So
right
that's,
thing
they're
to
cutting
do.
their head off by continuing to outlay and forecast these lawsuits with each other. And that's exactly what we said that night. If you continue to pursue these lawsuits, you're putting yourself out of business because we can't fund you. We do not have the means to fund you.
and that's when they hold up a piece of paper. Right here, we have, we'll drop the lawsuit.
Yes.
And they say, we have dropped it, we do not do it, but we cannot commit future boards The same way that they cannot commit future boards that there's gonna be a city school system.
Totally different.
I'm agreeing with all of you. You know, I'm the first one that stood here and said, nobody's budgeted on this money. Nobody's budgeted to pay it, nobody's budgeted to receive it, and we're just sitting here waddling our hands like this, and it's crazy.
We're
And
doing
I
because
agree
6 people will not change one, or 5 people will not change one word. And make the lawsuit go or what? They're not gonna win it.
They're gonna hold up a piece of paper and say they have their advice. There's one word there that they're fussing about.
And they're the one that changed it.
It means everything, because we can't forecast, we cannot fix the budgetary issues without reassurance that those lawsuits are not gonna have to be paid out. That's just a fact. We can't do the math when we don't know the numbers. And by eliminating these lawsuits, it gives us a very, very clear picture of what the numbers are gonna be, and we can start working on it. But without that, it's a crapshoot.
And we've expressed it in these same terms.
And I can't get past the fact that if we get into a situation where all these lawsuits are due, the biggest bear to take down is the school system. That would probably be the first thing
I
that's
think
put
the
up.
thing that hurts the most is I drive down here and I see farmers coming in and I see Little Caesars coming in and I see positive things going on in our community. And I come in here and I think that anybody that's looking to invest in this city, if they sat in one of these meetings and heard what we were talking about, I wouldn't be able to get out of town fast enough. I might even leave without going back to the hotel. That's the point that I want to make. And it's all over little bitty things that everybody says, well, I'm not going to do, and I'm not going to do, and I'm not going to promise because I can't promise for future people. Well, we're not going to promise because we can't promise for future people.
I understand.
There's so much positive going on.
Man, you're talking to the wrong folks.
Yeah, as vocal as you guys are here tonight is what you need to do on June the 8th with them.
We have.
I mean, I know, I've been there.
Don't worry. Yeah, we did. Don't worry.
Last month, I was very vocal at that meeting, saying
don't
it was all
worry.
the taxpayers.
They hear from
That's the
us.
ones that's losing in this. But just have to feel that brand.
They hear from us.
And you guys are stuck with, y'all
What
are
are they
that
saying?
crossfire. But you're not.
They say that they already dropped the lawsuit. They hold up that piece of paper where they dropped it. They hold up that piece of paper and say, we've dropped it. They say that this is good enough for the county, why can't it be good enough for the city?
Well, ma'am, I think you're smarter than to believe that, but they have not dropped the lawsuit with precedent. When you drop a lawsuit, it should never come back on you. Never, ever. It's that simple. Coffee County does not have $300,000. We don't have $140,000. And if we don't drop this, we're going to be sued for $140,000 that we don't have. And the only thing we can do is raise taxes. And they've already raised county taxes once this year. They're going to have to do it again.
They're raising it again.
It's going to be another 34.
Because they need more money in their school system.
Well, the other part of this is, we're talking, the other part of this is, we're talking about the city part of the lawsuit. If the county has to pay out of their part of the lawsuit, then we'll both will raise the tax. I mean, it's,
My name is Stephen Jones. I'm County Commissioner on the Budget and Finance Committee. From the county perspective, like I said, this is very frustrating because this was a lawsuit between the city versus the county, and here we are sitting in limbo because it's
between the city school board.
well, right, between the city school board and the county, and here we are sitting in limbo waiting for the school board of Manchester and the board of mayor and aldermen to work some stuff out, so that way we know. We've already agreed to pay our school board that $100,000 if you guys drop that $300,000 lawsuit. So I mean, we are sitting in limbo, just waiting to see what's going on. So
Most of what he said is true. There's nothing for this board to do. We've already done what we've done. It's the Manchester City
Right.
School Board. But what he said is correct. I understand the county commission has voted to pay its own.
Yes, we-
Pay the Coffee County School Board money sufficient to settle the lawsuit,
Yes.
which is assessing most of the money they could get from the city of Manchester. The city of Manchester has sued no one. We've only been sued, I think. The Manchester City School Board has sued. and has sued Coffee County, and Coffee County School Board has sued us. Then there's some other things between the cities and liquor tax.
I mean, there's two very clear options here. Drop the lawsuit, there's a possibility that we work something out in the city schools and see
You
if
gotta say, John, drop the lawsuit.
with Craig's. Then we can work a deal out, we can get this budgetary issue behind us. We're gonna go to the next step. Still a long step to go. If you don't drop the lawsuit and those lawsuits prevail, then we have no options. So it falls in their court. It's not a decision. All our resolution is saying is, do what you said you're gonna do, so we can move on and the county can move on.
So the county's agreed to pay them $100,000, and the maintenance of effort is based on enrollment, and enrollment is down somewhat. So if we agree not to change that maintenance of effort based on enrollment this year, that would kind of be like us giving them some money as well.
You know, it's a county school board.
We can change that.
It's a county school board, it's not us.
Our city, the county is paying the county school board,
Right.
so the county won't sue us.
The county hasn't sued us, the
County
county
school
school
board
board has
sued
sued
us.
us, right. Yeah, to drop that lawsuit, the county, who may owe the city school board money, sales tax. See, the city school board has sued Coffee County, that's the lawsuit we're talking about. If they get out of that lawsuit, they're gonna pay their own school system, what their own school system could get from us.
Right.
Now, how it affects their maintenance of effort is something I haven't looked at, but that's a county maintenance of effort, not a city maintenance.
I'm talking about ours. I'm talking about the city schools maintenance of effort based on enrollment. Enrollment is
That's
down.
correct, yeah, all maintenance of effort is based on enrollment.
So enrollment is down, so we can possibly actually lower that $1.678 million that we give them. So if we say we won't touch that amount this year based on low enrollment, would that be kind of in sense the same as what the county is doing for the county schools?
I understand that the county is doing it for the school board to take care of their legal fees to this point. Do you understand that, Gerald?
And nobody has officially told me. I've heard it standing around after meetings, but I understood it was partially to pay the contingent fee, and I don't know what else, but that's just.
I don't think anything that's gonna be going to education is gonna be going to.
It's the first children, probably to educate them, I would suspect.
Let's vote on the.
All right, y'all, you got it? Okay. Call the roll.
Alderman French. Alderman Swan.
Abstain.
Alderman Bryan. Alderman Kilgore. Alderman Sane. Alderman Polly.
Okay, we'll adjourn.
I was one that wanted you to announce this.
It was laying on our desk, so I assumed there was somebody's supposed to talk about it.
You can.
I don't know anything about it, to be honest. It's a joint after, I can read it, joint after hours to Oklahoma Area Chamber of Commerce and Manchester Chamber of Commerce Spring Mixer. That will be held at Thursday.
Next Thursday, Cheryl Festing Road. Next Thursday, Cheryl Festing Road.
Cheryl Festival, there you go. And I have flyers if anybody wants.
From me. And I'll tell you why. Everybody already got their bill on the box, so I'll send it on.
Someplace else.